Hi guys, and thank you for joining me in this video. In this video I am doing a speed paint of the New Zealand singer Lorde. At least I think it's Lorde. Maybe Lorde likeness might be a more accurate description, as I'm not sure this looks like her anymore, as I've been staring at this painting for far too long. So this painting I am using Sennelier watercolours, only Sennelier watercolours. I did this as part of my review of these paints, which you can find on my channel. Now, I don't paint too many portraits. I'm still learning how to do it, and it is quite challenging to do. This piece took me about, I think it was about 9 hours, and a lot of that was just playing with the skin, really, skin tones and the actual face itself, because it's quite tricky to do to get all the shadows right. As well, it was quite difficult because the Sennelier palette that I have has limited colours on it. Colours that I used here were the French Vermilion, the Mars Yellow, the Sennelier Yellow, and the Sepia. I also used a white watercolour from Winsor & Newton. Now this is one of the only few times that I will use white watercolour. White watercolour isn't often used as it's not opaque enough to cover up mistakes, and it also makes watercolour paint more opaque than just what it normally is. It doesn't usually make it that much lighter, because you can just have water to make the paint lighter. But it helps in skin because you want that sort of semi-opaqueness in the skin. So it's lots of layers of semi-opaque skin. I'm painting this on Daler Rowney smooth hot pressed paper. It's a student grade paper, and I did have some problems with warping as well. The face was excruciatingly difficult to paint. There was lots of going back and forth and redoing it loads of times. At one point I really messed it up and had to fix it off camera by removing all the layers and repainting it, essentially. That's why it took so long. With the hair, I just used warm sepia, cadmium yellow, and some white. The technique that I used for the hair was a grisaille technique. It's not often used with watercolour like this. It's basically where you paint in all your values in sort of dark and light values, and then you put the colour over the top, which is what I did, as there's lots of little different colours and shades in her hair, and I didn't want to have to paint each individual hair, as that would be extremely time consuming, so I just did it that way. I used the Cerniest blue for her dress that she was wearing, and that turned out quite well. I do quite like that colour. I mixed that with a bit of a purple just to make it darker and more richer. The thing that I find most difficult about portraits is the noses. For some reason I seem to struggle painting noses, getting the shape and shading right. And I also struggle with the differences in tones and values, as I'm scared to put just dark blocks of colour in places and just leave it. Everything has to blend smoothly and seamlessly, and it's not always the case with images. Sometimes you just get a patch of dark colour. It will look fine in the photo or the reference image, but when I go to paint it, it just looks odd and uncomfortable. So I'm definitely working on it, and hopefully my next painting will be I'm doing currently is a portrait, and you'll see that in a few weeks. even though this painting was quite difficult for me to finish, I did find it quite challenging and enjoyable to paint. It was quite freeing to paint a face that maybe I don't care about so much. Like I do like lots of music, but I'm not a major fan, so it didn't bother me so much if I made a mistake, as opposed to somebody that maybe I knew or that I was a major fan of, and I would like care extra much about it.